everyone, this is Tara from Anew Counseling Services. So today we are going to talk about the 9 signs of depression. But before we start, just a couple warnings. Number 1, do not go and diagnose yourself. I remember when I was taking a class in graduate school called Case Studies, my professor had said that, guys, we're going to start talking about all the disorders and how to diagnose them, and don't diagnose yourself. And of course, all of us ignored her. And I basically thought I had half of what the DSM listed. And thankfully, I did not have half. Maybe a couple, but not half. So please do not use this to diagnose yourself. If you want a diagnosis, go to a properly licensed specialist to get that diagnosis. Number 2, just because you may say, wow, I have one of those symptoms, again, does not mean you are depressed. When we are diagnosing, there is a list of criteria that we have to follow. For depression specifically, there is also a timeline. It's not about you being sad for one day. It's much longer than one day. So what I hope for this video is that you can listen to these symptoms. And if you feel like, wow, I think I have some of these, or maybe someone you know and care about has some of these, think about the option of going to counseling. And then, like I said, let that licensed professional diagnose you if there is a diagnosis to be made. It would never hurt to go to us and us say, no, you're not depressed. Well, now you know. So again, do not diagnose yourself. Do not panic if you think you have one symptom. If you feel like you can relate to this or someone that you know, again, think about counseling for yourself or suggest counseling to that other person. So sign number 1, sadness and hopelessness. A lot of the times when we're depressed, we feel sad for basically all day, almost every single day, and just hopeless. We don't feel like things are going to get better. We're not able to project into the future and say, I know this is good, or I know this will be good, or I know tomorrow will be a better day. We kind of look at it like this is horrible and it's always going to stay horrible. Sign number 2, loss of interest in things that used to give you pleasure. So for example, let's say you loved gardening and you always gardened and you loved plants, and now you just don't care and you don't want to do it, and there's nothing appealing about it, and you have no motivation to do it, even though you used to live for gardening or any other interest that you may have. That is sign number 2. Sign number 3, a change in your weight. Now I specify this. Eating disorders are totally separate, or if you're purposely trying to gain weight or to lose weight. But if you have no eating disorder, which is good, and you are not trying to lose weight or trying to gain weight, and you're seeing that you're losing all this weight and you really have no appetite, or you're gaining all this weight and you want to eat all the time, that could be a sign of depression. The 4th sign of depression is your sleeping habits. You can find yourself going one of 2 ways, either not being able to sleep at all, and you are basically facing insomnia, or oversleeping. All you want to do is sleep. You slept for 14 hours last night, which is way too much sleep, and you still want to sleep. That could be another sign of depression. Sign number 5, and this is a very, very serious one and a very, very important one. Thoughts of suicide or actual suicide attempts. This can be a sign of depression. And if you are feeling that right now and feel you are in danger, please stop watching this and call 911. Get help immediately. If you are not feeling like you are in danger right now, but are having thoughts of suicide, please make sure you reach out to a therapist to help you. Reach out to your doctor as well to discuss this, and tell your loved ones. This symptom is very, very serious, and do not take it lightly or ignore it, please. Sign number 6, irritability. At times when we're depressed, we're irritable because we just cannot handle anything else. So we're snappy and we're short fused and just jumpy and not ourselves. Sign number 7, loss of energy. You just feel fatigued and sluggish and slow and not moving around and doing what you normally do. Could be a sign of depression. Number 8, trouble concentrating. It's like our minds just can't handle anything else, and we're trying to read this book in front of us, and we read a whole page and we have no idea what we just read. And we're trying to listen to that teacher in class and we have no idea what they just said. And we're trying to sit down and write that essay and we just can't focus on it enough to write it. Number 8, again, could be a sign of depression. And the last sign, number 9, is how you're physically acting. Again, kind of similar to number 8, where you're very sluggish and slow. And if I could explain it or give an example, it's almost zombie-like, where you're just kind of like, and your verbal responses are a bit delayed. You're even speaking slower than you normally would, and just everything kind of is just slow. Your movements, your speech, activities that you're doing, you're not out and about and up and around. You're kind of like, ugh. Or again, the complete opposite, where it's psychomotor agitation, where you're kind of like ×4 on your speed level, where you're pacing around and going in circles, and you can't sit still, and you just keep going and going and going and going. This as well could be a sign of depression. The most important thing with counseling, nip it in the bud. If you can relate to this, if you're like, wow, I have a few of these things, go get help. Call up a counselor. I welcome you to visit my website at www.anewcounselingservices.com. I am there seeing clients. I have 2 other clinicians as well. All 3 of us work with depression. There's plenty of blogs on my website about depression as well. But do not hesitate. Do not throw this on the back burner. Do not brush it under the rug thinking if it's hidden well enough, maybe it will go away. The most successful counseling is at the early stages. That does not mean if you are at a later stage, you cannot get better. Of course you can, but it takes a lot more work and it takes a longer amount of time. So things like this, especially depression, is not something you want to wait on. So again, if you think that you can relate to this or know someone that could relate to it, please do not hesitate and reach out and give us a call. And most importantly, if you relate to suicide, if you are thinking about suicide, if you are planning on attempting suicide, please call 911 immediately and get the help that you need. All of this is treatable and manageable with therapy, sometimes even with medicine, but you can be okay if you allow yourself to be okay and act on these feelings now. Thank you for watching, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day.